I did not know my daughter's pediatrician's name before I found out I was getting divorced.
When a woman divorces her husband, sometimes some men wonder where it was all coming from, what happened, why did she change, or why is she divorcing me, what did I do, and all of that. If you're married and your children, or you have a son or a daughter that is going to the hospital and you are not even asking details, you don't know anything about it, just because you feel like you are doing a certain thing for the child or in the house, it shows that you're not paying attention. You don't actually have interest in some particular thing. Teddy doesn't know his child's doctor's name, but he will say that he trained the children how to ride a bike. So he's trying to say that there is a particular role for the mother and there's a particular role for the father. So if the one particular parent is doing one thing, let the other one do the other thing. Let me show you all this video, then we'll come back and talk about it.
I did not know my daughter's pediatrician's name before I found out I was getting divorced. And you know what? Because they basically went to the doctor when I was at the office during the week. And so my ex handled that. What I did know is I spent 5 hours teaching each of my daughters how to ride a bike on a Saturday, 5 hours each kid when I was available, because that's the kind of thing I was able to do. So what I can tell you is how that went. If you ask my ex-wife whether there were any tears that were shed, how many skinned knees there were, she won't be able to tell you anything about it. She won't be able to tell you the joy on their faces when they finally pedaled for themselves. Actually, she might be able to tell you about that because I filmed it and showed it to her. My point is, let's not put some litmus test out there to judge whether one parent is a good parent or not. This is not a man-woman thing. This is that there are some preconceived notions around things like, did you know the pediatrician's name? Could you name all the teachers or all the classes? Maybe not, okay? I couldn't have done that stuff back before I got divorced. I was on a train at 6 a.m, getting home after the kids went to bed. I don't really know that, but guess what? All weekend, I can tell you all about that stuff. And I can tell you what it was like to teach my girls how to ride a bike. Is that a fair test? My ex doesn't know. No, it's not a fair test. Just something to think about.
Imagine if your ex-wife got on the internet and told everyone that she didn't know the name of her child's pediatrician, because everyone would attack her, including you, and the fact that you have a different set of expectations for yourself means that you're not an equal parent. People would criticize a woman for not knowing such a basic fact about her child, regardless of whether or not she was employed, because what we demand from moms is so different than what we're willing to tolerate from dads. So you say that it's not a man versus woman thing, but that's really easy to say when your gender isn't the one with all the expectations. You say that you didn't know the name of your daughter's pediatrician because you're always working during her appointments, but that's not the only way to find out the name of your child's doctor. You would know if you ever asked how the appointment went or what the doctor said, and you would know if you ever filled out a school form or signed a sports waiver. You don't know because you don't do the mundane stuff, and you don't even have to think about it because you don't have to do it. So the question isn't really about if you knew, it's about if you wanted to know. Is it that you asked all the questions and wanted all the information, or is it that you were perfectly fine with not being involved until someone asked you why you weren't? You brought up teaching your child how to ride a bike, but what does that have to do with knowing the name of your child's pediatrician? Your wife probably feeds them 3 times a day too, but that's not the point. And I don't know why you would be so eager to dismiss a criticism with something completely unrelated unless you knew you were in the wrong. You talk about having to work, but what you're claiming to be a victim of is something that so many women envy. You get to be the fun parent. You get to teach your daughter how to ride a bike, but mom's the one who has to watch out the window every time she wants to ride it. And kids will remember the special moment when they learned how to ride a bike with dad, but they won't remember all the times that mom told them to put on their helmet. And yes, I know that teaching your kids how to ride a bike is not all fun and games, but you only have to teach them how to do it once, so that can't exactly define your parenting. There are plenty of women who work full-time or as the sole breadwinner, and I'm sure that all of them could tell you the name of their child's pediatrician. Both parents should know the names of their children's doctors and teachers because those names matter. They would matter in an emergency, and they should matter because we care. I have tremendous compassion for any parent who works, and this is in no way meant to diminish how difficult it can be to provide for a family. You miss a lot, and I know how hard it is when you have to miss the soccer game so that you can afford for them to play the sport. But I hope that this serves as a reminder that we should always ask questions about the things that we miss, instead of just settling for the fact that we miss them.
This guy's handle is Blindsided by Divorce. So by the end of the video, let's see if he was actually blindsided or just blind. His question is, does it matter if the dad doesn't know the pediatrician's name? It pained me to listen to this video in its entirety. It really did. This man is comparing having to know crucial information about his children and their doctors to him teaching his children how to ride a bike. Were you really blindsided? What happens if you were still married to your ex-wife and something happened to her? Let's say you guys got into an accident and she did not make it, and it is just you and the children, and she's gone suddenly, and you don't know anything about those children's doctors, where they go, what their pediatrician's name is. You don't know their teacher's name. That is not a flex. Your kids need to go to the doctor, and you're like, well, I don't know where to take them, but thank God they know how to ride their bike. Maybe they can ride their bike to the doctor's office. There were no signs. I don't know why my wife left me. Brother, I do. I do in fact know why. The fact that she probably had to take off work to take those kids to the doctor, but that's all her responsibility. It's not even a flex of mine that my husband knows my daughter's pediatrician or where she goes to the doctor. It's not a flex that my husband knows what size she wears, because that is just bare minimum parenting. People don't congratulate mothers on knowing their kid's doctor's name or what size they wear, so why are men congratulated for that? Oh my God, you know what size your kid wears? That's amazing. Why? I think knowing where your kids go to the doctor is a pretty good determination on whether or not you're a good parent. Somebody in the comment section was like, this is like that one dad that was like, I'm a good dad, I go to all the birthday parties. When his wife is the one that set all the birthday parties up. She was the one that planned them and bought everything for them and decorated for them, and he just showed up. There's a reason your wife left, and this is a good indication on why.
I did not know my daughter's pediatrician's name before I found out I was getting divorced. And you know what? Because they basically went to the doctor when I was at the office during the week. And so my ex handled that. What I did know is I spent 5 hours teaching each of my daughters how to ride a bike on a Saturday, 5 hours each kid, when I was available, because that's the kind of thing I was able.
I stumbled across this video last week and I thought about stitching it, but I decided not to. Instead, I left a comment and I shared my perspective on his video because he asked, am I missing the mark here? And I thought he was. Now for context, this is what I said. I said, you did something one time. You're comparing it to the constant, never-ending care your partner did. It's not to say that teaching them to ride a bike doesn't matter. It does, but so does the mundane stuff. You could have taken time off to go to the doctors. You could have talked to your partner about the appointment. You should know the name because it means you fill out forms for school and every single form ever asks for that name. You should know the name in case of an emergency. Kids go to the doctors on weekends. Teaching your kid to ride a bike and having a job does not excuse you from knowing the important details about their life. Now, I'm not the only person who feels this way, obviously, because there's a lot of likes on this comment. Actually, there's more likes on this comment than there are on the video. Now, that's neither here nor there, but he asked in his video and in his caption whether or not people think it's appropriate for this question to be brought up in a custody agreement. And I said, yes. Obviously, it makes sense that you would ask for basic information like the kid's pediatrician's name, their teacher's name, their best friend's name, maybe what size clothing they wear, anything to indicate that you were involved in their day-to-day lives. I think it's appropriate to ask that question. And at first, he kind of treaded lightly in his response to my comment. He kind of dances around the topic. He neither agrees nor disagrees. He just thanks me for the content and says that he was putting it all out there. Now, I stopped engaging after that, but he continued to DM me asking me if I'd ever consider collaborating with him to speak in more depth about these topics. I did not respond, but more and more people kept tagging me and commenting, and so I went back today and I saw this comment. He's calling into question my ability to speak on this because I at one point considered divorce. And I considered divorce, and I've shared my story many times because there was an unequal division of labor in my family. When I came to my partner and I told him I was struggling, he heard me. He listened to me. He saw me. And now 3 years later, we are still happily married. Our home is functioning. Everybody's happy and healthy and thriving. And his relationship is no longer, it seems. He was blindsided by divorce. And here's the thing I know about most men who are blindsided by divorce. They were blind in their relationships. They didn't pay attention to their partner. They didn't listen to their partner. They didn't see their partner. They didn't hear her when she said, I'm struggling, I'm unhappy. They chose to ignore that and proceed as they always had. And so when the divorce comes up, they're blindsided. The difference between my husband and a man who's been blindsided by divorce is that my husband saw me. He saw me and he cared about my relationship and he changed. And he did not continue to double down on the idea that it's okay to be an absent father or not involved in the day-to-day lives of your family simply because you have a job. He didn't double down on the idea that men's sole purpose in life is to provide financial support for the family. He knows that providing care for his family is just as important. And so here's the thing. I wasn't going to stitch this because I didn't care to talk about this man. But if he wants to bring up my marriage, then I'm happy to talk about him and his perspectives because I think he misses the mark big time. And if you're looking for a divorce consultant, I don't think he's your guy.
The fact that it feels like comparing knowing your child's doctor's name and teaching your child how to ride a bike goes together is insane. Like, it's insane. Yes, teaching your child how to ride a bike can be very difficult, of course, but it's a one-time thing. It's a one-time thing, right? If you go to work and you come back, probably you're not always available and it's your the wife that always take the child to the doctor's office. Nothing's going to stop you from asking in details, because going to the doctor's office might not be every day, and sometimes it might be every day. You asking in detail, if you're asking questions and ask, how did the appointment go? There's no how you might not know or hear the name of the doctor. Just like your child's teacher or your child's friend's name. There was a time some particular videos were trending online whereby some people all those people that ask questions on the street were kind of creating content, and they kind of stopped families that are with the father, the mother, and probably children, 2, 1, and they were asking. They just put a mic in the man's mouth and just ask random question. What's the name of your child's school? Or what is your child's teacher's name? What class is your child? How old is your child? What is your child's birthday? What is your child's favorite color? What is your child's favorite food? They don't know. And when they ask the mom one time, she gets it. And this shows how, when we talk about parenting, that it takes a lot. It takes a lot for the mom to be a parent and for the dad. The dad most of the time are not always available. Most of the time, the dad feels like once they provide, they don't need much. When they provide money, finance, they feel like they don't need to do any other thing. They don't need to get to know. In fact, most fathers don't even have conversations about their children. They don't want to know their friends. They don't want to know how their day went. They will just feel like, oh, what do you need? What do you need? Take this money. And that's what they feel parenting is like for them. But the mom, even if the mom works, because it's not all mom that stay at home. Even some mom that stay at home works, right? So even if the mom works, always want to pay attention each of the children. She knows each of the children, the way they behave, what they can do, what they cannot do, what they like, their friends' names. Like, always pay attention to details for their child. That shows how much you're interested in something. So comparing and doing all those things to things that is just a one-time thing is crazy. And that's why most of the time they always ask, they don't know why their wife divorced them and they don't know where it was coming from. Little things on these tiny little things sometimes can build up to resentment and make your wife just feel like, you know what, it's better for me to be a single mother outside this marriage than for me to be a single mother in a married home. Because yes, some women are single mothers in their married homes and it's difficult for them to actually function well, and they feel like it's better for them to be single outside their married home than to be single while they're in their husband's house. You guys, what's your take on this video? Kindly share your thoughts about this video down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, your girl Mara Davis, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.